Hello and welcome to Pokemon Gentleman Peter. So today we're going to be covering the brand new live stream, which is going to be the Pokemon Presents, and we'll hopefully be seeing the information roughly in about half an hour's time, but we're going to discuss roughly what I'd like to see within, hopefully, Pokemon going into next year. Firstly, I would like to have a Unova version. I think a remake is just natural. They always do that as kind of the last point before they go into a new game, since they had they had all of the Pokemon content the last year and the previous year, Scarlet and Violet. That means that realistically they've got this to come forward, and then after that, that's it. That's it done really before we get a new one. I am seeing some people who want Legends Kyurem, so that's always an idea. Because we've had the Legends Arceus, that would be a way of getting a brand new game kind of within the Legends kind of aspect of Pokemon and using a legendary Pokemon. They do want a Pokemon Black and White confirmed. I see some people. They do want either a Legends Celebi or a Crystal remake. I don't necessarily think we're going to get a Crystal remake, but I do think we are maybe seeing that going from another console, for example the Game Boy Advance, which the Pokemon games came from, and they should have an updated version that goes into the Nintendo Switch. I mean, they've done that for Red, Blue and Yellow. I think why not do it for the other versions? Of course, we've already had kind of the remakes of certain other games, so they're updated already. And there's always the opportunity for them to kind of go back into that, but I just don't think it's going to be anywhere instantly in the cards. As it is, I do think there are other things that they could be looking at. For example, the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games, they're always quite interesting. I always have liked those, but it really depends on what they're looking to do. At the moment, I think they have done quite a few of these spin-off games, and they might want to be focusing more into what the brand is and to stick with a mainstream type of game. Especially since I think this live stream has been rumoured to be about 13 minutes. I don't think in that length of time you're going to be able to cover that much, so there is that limitation to it. There is the potential for, an additional form of Scarlet and Violet content as another downloadable, but I wouldn't hold my breath on that. The reason for it is because it's just not viable as a solution. You've already had 3 pieces of content. I think what more do you want? You've had the Iron Disc, you've had the other version, the Indigo Disc, you've had the Mask, and you've also had that Petrant variation as well. So I don't think they're going to be adding any more content. If they were to do that, then I think that'd be additional costs. And it's just not in the strategy that they kind of work towards. I would like a brand new Pokemon fighting game. That would be a nice idea, or something like the Nobunaga's. That one I think actually did quite well, because that was strategy based, and it was it had a fighting element to it, but you had to kind of step across different boards and then challenge different Pokemon based on typings. I would like to see some improvements to some of the games, but I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. In terms of anything like a Pokemon Go update, that's always potential that they might be looking at another region, but I also think that could be forgotten about. But also, Pokemon Go, it's something that's had its trend, and I think it is kind of falling off a bit. There is a little bit of chat as well to do with Zekrom being there, but that's if they're going to do that, that'll be in attachments to anything related to Pokemon Black and White, and the links between the character, one of the daughters of Clay, who is the Elite Four member, and the various bits of information they've had in the past. Someone is saying Pokemon Tennis. I don't think they'd ever actually go into something like that. I don't really see Pokemon having as such a Pokemon sports theme of anything in regards to anything, I just don't see that as being viable. I think one of the problems with that is, how are you going to do it? Is it going to be a little bit like Mario Tennis, but just with the Pokemon characters, and which ones would you go for? Likewise, I don't really see anything like Pokemon go-karting or anything along those lines. A lot of people are hoping for the Gen 5 remakes, and I definitely think those are up for grabs. Gen 10, a couple of people are asking for. I just don't think they're going to be making any sort of announcements towards that until late in this year, maybe a little bit into next year. But that's, again, very much what they're looking for. Someone's wanting a Pokemon Gens 1 to 3 all in one game, not in the style of how Pokemon goes. So you've had a couple of examples where Pokemon has come about in different versions. So, for example, they've had the version that has both red and blue, as well as, so that's Kanto, and it's joined a bit in adjacent with Pokemon Johto. And that's as far as we've really got. Most regions don't really usually cross each other. In terms of sequels for Let's Go, I think someone's asking not for there to be any more. I think, from what I've heard, people are hoping for a Let's Go Togepi or Wooper. It would be nice to have one of those, but it's very much depending on how they're kind of playing this with Pokemon. Mystery Dungeon is also there, and that's what people are looking forward to. I think that's an okay assumption that we're going to get a new Mystery Dungeon. They might do one based on Scarlet and Violet or on Sword and Shield, just to get some more interest into the game. Pokemon Let's Go Shaman is another example, but again, Shaman is quite popular. I don't think that's kind of in the cards. Yeah, as I said in the comments below, I've actually seen as well, other people are saying this is a 13-minute, so they aren't going to be covering that much in this. There's also some aspect of Detective Pikachu, whether there might be a third version of the movie. I don't think so. Someone's joking Pokemon Scarlet 2 and Violet 2. As for the last couple of games, they have just been doing digital downloads versions rather than making a third version of a game. So that's absolutely not going to happen. I can categorically agree to that just not happening. There might be a movie, someone says, in relation to the Mewtwo story to do with Pokemon Detective Pikachu. I don't think that's going to happen. Oh, here's a shout. Someone's looking for another Pokemon Colosseum game. I would love to see one of those. I did get both the original Pokemon Colosseum and the Gale of Darkness. Both of those I really enjoyed. They were on the GameCube, so I was lucky to get that. I think they're really good. If anyone hasn't played and you get the opportunity to, I would highly recommend. It was really interesting. I found it really entertaining, and there's quite a lot of content you can go through. It doesn't have to be played all in like 1 to 2 days. You can actually take your time with it. You get to explore and to get a variety of different Pokemon and those that you like. They're talking about another Pokemon Snap. I don't think that's going to happen. The reason for it is we had the second one that had its appeal, but it's one of those things where you kind of play it and then that's it. It's kind of done. I don't think that's in recommendations. It's just not an ideal situation to be in. Pokemon Let's Go Clefairy. I don't think that's going to happen. Pokemon Grand Theft Auto crossover. That's absolutely not going to happen. Gen 4 remakes, but chibi graphics, it'd be cool. So that's a joke to do with how the animated, Diamond and Pearl, with their variations, they just they made them into little cutesy types of Pokemon. I don't think that's going to happen. They've done that. I don't think they'll make an updated serious version of it. Pokemon Let's Go Lugia and Let's Go Ho-Oh, potentially, but considering that they had for Kanto both mascot Pokemon, Pikachu and Eevee, I think they're going to be going for mascot Pokemon. They're not going to go for, the legendary style of Pokemon. something in Let's Go Professor Sycamore. I don't think they're going to be titling anything in relation to any of the professors, whether that be Oak, Sycamore, or any of the others. Pokemon World Adventures. They're looking at a Pokemon 10 happening. Again, I think this is just predetermined too early. They won't be announcing that until at least, I'm going to say, November. Or maybe January next year. And even then, they might give a small teaser here, which we might not be familiar with until kind of you look back into it. A Pokemon Stadium game, like a third version, since we've had the first and second, those came out originally on a very, very old console, and then I think they were available for download, digital download, that you could access. That's not necessarily a bad thing, and I think there's a lot they could do with it, but whether that's going to happen, I'm kind of doubtful for. Pokemon and Fortnite collab, that's not going to happen. Just it's not worth the time for Pokemon to risk getting into those spaces. They are very protective about their brands and are absolutely not going to be covering anything towards that extent. I would highly advise people not to hope towards that way. Anyone hoping for Pokemon Sleep news? No, personally not. I don't think that's a... I think it's fine. It's one of those things. It's a bit like the Pokemon, the brush the teeth kind of thing. It's to help support younger children in kind of getting their behaviours right. You know, brush your teeth twice a day, kids, type of thing. And the same thing with sleep. It's a nice little gimmick, and it's a good way of kind of keeping your corporate social responsibility up. But whether it's actually going to be used, I highly doubt it. Some sort of reference to Pal World? No, they won't be making any reference to that. Japan is not known for doing so. They may only, you know, the next thing we're going to hear is probably a court order that's happened in Japan, and that'll be as much as we're going to hear about that, and that might not even be for the next year. That the lawyers are probably going to be in discussions. They were looking at a Pokemon Park. I don't think that's going to happen. It's just not a good idea. Someone's suggesting Ace Attorney and Looker. So Looker is he's the agent for Pokemon Universe, and it was Black 2, White 2, and he very much dealt with some of the detective crimes that the villains in the story were dealing with, and I don't necessarily think that's going to be covered. Pokemon Let's Go Professor Oak. Again, I don't think anything to do with those names is going to be covered. I just don't recommend people kind of looking into that too much. Pokemon Sleep Accessories. Again, I don't think they're going to be adding anything. If it's a physical thing, it's just not going to happen. If it's digital, maybe. So we have 11 minutes until the stream starts. Someone's suggesting Let's Go Trubbish, but if they're going it based on the titles already, we've just had Kanto, so logically we'll have Johto. They're not going to go with a Trubbish, which is a Unova-based Pokemon. It's a poison type. It's not going to happen. Let's Go Jirachi. Again, that's just not going to happen. Jirachi is not in that generation. It's just not going to happen. Pokemon to happen on Steam. I think that would be nice if they actually did have versions, because part of the problem that Pokemon has is there are all these kind of modded versions that are out there that people just actively play, and it's not something that Pokemon has really addressed. They kind of ignore it, or they'll kind of go through their copywriting and patent systems without actually discussing that with anyone. They'll just go through their lawyers' teams rather than, you know, making a public display or announcement. It'd be nice if they had a Steam version so people could actually make gaming content without having to feel that, you know, they're being at risk for any sort of plagiarism or any other risks that cause any sort of problems. They're referring also to Pokemon Cooking, so that's actually the Pokemon Cafe, whether they look at having alternative versions of that. I'm also a little bit concerned, well, I don't necessarily think it's going to happen. It'd be nice if they did, but it's just not one of the things that they focus on. Someone's hoping that they make a black and white version remake that's actually better than Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which arguably I think they will be focusing more heavily on, and I think that's the game that's... Sometimes they do outsource things to other companies, but I think this is something that will be kept very much in-house. Pokemon XD remake for the Switch. It's not bad of a suggestion. I would like to see a version of that, the XD Gale of Darkness. That's the spin-off to the Pokemon Colosseum. Inazuma Pokemon 11. A football one isn't going to be in collaboration with anything to do with Pokemon. It's not how they work. Mystery Dungeon, again, I think that's definitely on the cards, but we have to kind of wait. Pokemon Dating Simulator, that is definitely not going to be happening. Someone's looking for a new Pokken game. I think they're more so towards kind of supporting what's already out there and not going to be adding to the content. I don't think for any other reason, but I just don't think it's just within their nature. They're not going to be focusing on that. So it's sad, but maybe when the next generation console comes out for Nintendo, will they bother to actually address that? Someone's talked about Pokemon Masters X support. This is kind of one of those app games. I don't necessarily think they're going to be doing that. I don't think it's in the main kind of sphere of what they're interested in. They're at the moment looking at the remakes, if anything, that's likely to come out. Legend Celebi, Disney buys Nintendo. I don't think Disney has the financial capability of buying Nintendo, whether anyone wants to or not. Second thing is, I don't think you'd want them, because the exclusivity on these things just becomes a nightmare. It's not corporately going to happen. Just 6 minutes away, and then we get to see what fun is in installments for us. Legends Necrozma. That's not going to happen. That's Pokemon Sun and Moon. We're way beyond that point at the moment. It's just too recent for them to bother with it. Someone's looking for a one of those MMO ones. I don't think Pokemon's ever going to really cover anything where they introduce every Pokemon and everyone gets to have access to them. It's not in their best interest to offer anything of that sort. Pokemon Black Reload. I don't think they'll be calling it anything like that because of just the nature of how these things are sounded. Legend Shedinja. That is for Hoenn, and I don't think they're there yet. They're missing Johto, so you'll be waiting maybe 3-4 years for another version. Now the chat is really going. People are really into the live stream, I think. Well, don't blame them, there's about 3 minutes to go. Mega Evolution for Golurk. I don't know whether they're actually going to come back with Mega Evolutions. I don't think of a mainstream game, because every time they've made a new mainstream game, they've made a new version of one of these types of, forms or attacks. So you've had Mega Evolution, you've had those special Z moves, you've had the Gigantamax / Dynamax, and now you've got the Terrestrialization. I think after this, there isn't too much for them to go with. I love whenever they announce anything like an alternative version of any sort of Pokemon. So if we get another of these Paldean forms within this, just randomly added into game content as of, sometimes when they provide these presents, it does kind of make an announcement in effect as of once this live stream is available, once it's done. You can then download this, or you can play this event. We could get one of those types of things. Someone's saying, imagine there's no games. I don't think they do that. There'd be an absolute outrage from the community. Categorically, that's not going to happen. They will have a game. They will be ready with a game, at least 1 or 2. Legend Snorlax, that's not going to happen. They've already had the Kanto versions. Pokemon Red and Blue, please. No. They could go back through the cycle of re-releasing those into Nintendo Switch, but if they've already done that just to kind of upload it digitally, then that's already kind of been covered. They'll wait until a brand new console is out before they address anything like that. Pokemon Go new season. Potentially that could be available, but I'm just not considering that to be that likely. 60 seconds to go. Here we are. Someone's saying awaiting disappointment in the chat. I think it's going to be better than you think. Don't expect too much, but don't expect too little. They won't have done nothing. They have poured too much time, too much energy into this to just give you nothing. Right, it's going to be very shortly now. Someone's asking for Ash to return to the anime. I think Ash is done. I don't think they're going to be doing that, no. Okay, it says it's going to be happening shortly. It should be now, really. It's 2 o'clock. Come on. Here we go. 55 seconds and counting. Just a few seconds to go. here we are, guys. Okay, so we've got a Pikachu running. And some unknown. Just all the unknown are just following the Pikachu. So he's chasing into Pikachu. Well, Pikachu is chasing into the unknown. And this is...
Hello everyone. I'm Ishihara from the Pokemon Company. Today, February 27, is Pokemon Day. This is the date that the Pokemon Red and Pokemon Green games were first released in Japan. Our adventures with Pokemon, which started with the simple fun of collecting, trading, and battling in the Pokemon Red and Pokemon Green games, have expanded to fit into so many facets of daily life, including walking and sleeping. We'll keep challenging ourselves to create new ways to enjoy Pokemon, and we hope you'll continue your adventures with us. Today, we will be bringing you all the latest news about Pokemon, including our newest titles.
Newest titles, so they've mentioned that, and the fact that they've mentioned walking and sleeping means there's going to be something that you're going to interact with.
I hope everyone has enjoyed their adventures in the Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet games
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet games so far to commemorate Pokemon. Okay, so there's an event coming up with a Mighty Venusaur, a Mighty Blastoise, and a Mighty Charizard. So these are going to be like souped-up versions, I think.
Today, I'd also like to share the latest
okay, so you'll be
able
to kind of use them quite recently. But that's a little bit of a disappointment. They're just kind of event-based Pokemon for Scarlet and Violet. Okay, so we've got some Pokemon Go news happening.
A collaboration event with Pokemon Go is on its way.
From Tuesday, March the 5th. Lyco Sprigatito, Roy with Fuecoco,
Pikachu wearing Cap's hat is making its debut.
Hat, so that's
it even
happening.
knows an attack new to Pokemon Go, Volt Tackle.
Okay, so Volt Tackle is coming.
Charcadet, Armarouge, and Ceruledge
They're
are
all
coming
making
too.
a Pokemon Go
and
debut,
Liko and Roy
so
will be dropping in when you
Ceruledge,
snap a pic and Go snapshot. So set
the
out on an
various Pokemon
adventure
of
with
that
your new
kind.
friends.
Armarouge. Okay, so March 7th on Netflix. The problem with that is it's Netflix. Unless you have Netflix, you can't. Okay, you can't use it. Pokemon Sleep is getting update, and so we see Mareep. We're seeing kind of that's a Raikou just running in from a desert into kind of a city-based environment and into a person's home. And now we're seeing someone kind of waking up with their Pikachu and the Raikou that's actually sleeping dormant. This is really bizarre. Okay, so this is energy storing sleep. Okay. Raikou is coming in March 2024, so is Entei and Suicune, that's going to be following up straight after. So we get the 3 legendary dogs introduced in Pokemon Sleep. You can get a gift by logging in with 10 Pokemon biscuits and 1,000 of these diamonds, so these are probably in-game currency things. Pokemon Masters X. So we've got Lance here. And he's using... Okay, and now we're getting a Tyranitar.
You're the greatest and strongest partner I could ask for.
And that's Red with his Tyranitar and the rest of his, Pokemon. That's Tyranitar. Is that Mega Evolution? It's celebrating 4.5 years, so Vita and Glamora, Silver and Tyranitar, and just a couple new Pokemon, Riley and Lucario, and you're getting the 3,000 gems. Pokemon Cafe remix, yeah. So if anyone in the comments was saying about the Pokemon Cafe, we've got that. And it's showing a Gimmighoul here. So is that going to be coming? Okay, so we're going to have some Pokemon Scarlet and Violet being introduced into the game, and we've got the various Pokemon, the 2 legendary Pokemon in there. You've got Gimmighoul coins, and you can choose Pokemon to kind of add to the game. So far I'm not too impressed with this. But we've got to wait and see if there's anything that's actually got Pokemon Unite. Okay. we're going to have some probably new characters within this. Miraidon and Koraidon, yes, okay, so you're going to be introducing Miraidon. We have Phalanx is being added. Cerilage, yeah, that's coming. So, February 27th, we've got one for April, and then there's one that's going to be revealed soon after, and there's some sort of gift code. You have to use Pokemon Day 24 in order to access the Pokemon. Okay, so Pikachu is jumping up in front again.
Moving on, please have a look at this video.
Please have a look at this. Right, this should be the big reveal, considering that they're making, whenever they do this, they do tend to make a bigger deal of it. Okay, this is Pokemon trading cards, I can see. And is this the virtual game? This must be a virtual game, you must be able to access it through a mobile app in order to actually use it. Okay, so you can open packs digitally. Okay, so that's quite interesting, and then you'll be able to play using your phone. I wonder whether you can collect your cards. That's interesting, so you'll be able to play the actual game, you know, online. This is a trading card game that's supporting a digital version. You can have quick battles using Pokemon. Okay, so you've got, this is a little bit like how you have with Yu-Gi-Oh! You've got Duel Links. So I think these are supposed to be shortened versions of that. They've got immersive cards, so they've got 3D animations to some of them, and they kind of pop out to you. That's interesting. So you can open virtually just by kind of swiping the finger. And I wonder which Pokemon packs they're going to have on release. Is it just going to be the initial lot, or are they actually going to be some of the others? Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket. Open 2 packs per day at no cost, so you do get 2 free packs per day. And it's presented by, there's a partnership, collaboration between several companies.
What you just saw was the world's
and it's going to be downloadable from the App Store and Google Play, so it's just going to be a downloadable app. So there is a pay-to-play element to it, so you have to pay if you want more than 2 packs. Otherwise, you do have the opportunity to every day open 2 packs.
The Pokemon Company is developing this game as a
I think I'm going to be looking forward to
with
that.
Creatures
That's going to be working in third-party collaboration
and DNA,
with the
partners in the development of Pokemon Masters
DNA,
games.
who are the working technology partners for this.
Title, here's a message from Mr. Yuji Kitano, President and CEO of Creatures. Mr. Kitano, take it away.
Hello everyone, I'm Yuji Kitano from Creatures Inc. I'd like to start by thanking everyone for enjoying the Pokemon trading card game. With Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket,
okay, so this is explaining a little bit about the process of how they've developed
so we are hard at work
Pokemon
developing digital cards.
Trading card game online for the Pokemon Pocket, and that is
When
kind
we
of going
develop
through each
physical
card,
cards,
and
we strive to
you're going to have to
please by
scan
taking great
them
care with our
into
paper quality,
get
colors, and
them
printing
into
process.
digital versions.
Since this game uses mobile devices rather than paper,
Since
we're
this game
challenging
uses mobile
ourselves to
devices,
express
we're
that
challenging
care
ourselves
in new ways
in
that are only possible
to express
digitally,
care. Okay.
such as using the characteristics of the screen to show off brilliant colors and stylish effects. One way
I
we're
love the
accomplishing this
design
is
of
with
these. I think
immersive
they're
cards,
really interesting,
which give
and
players the experience
again,
of
anything
leaping
that's
into the world
immersive
of the
that's going
card
to work with
illustration.
VR as we go into the future.
What's more, we've
As you
developed
can
new
see,
streamlined game
it
rules
does
based
look a
on
little
our
bit like
existing
Duel
battle
Links
system,
in that
so
you've
you
got
can
short
enjoy a quick
versions
battle during
of
the
being
free
able
moments
to use
in your day.
cards.
Our 3 companies are all working hard to deliver a
I
fun
don't know whether
experience
this is
for
the
those
most
of you
impressive
who
thing that
already
they've
enjoy
kind of
the
got
Pokemon
announced,
trading
because
card
if
game,
this is it,
as well
I
as
am
those
still
who've
kind
never
of
played before.
underwhelmed.
We
But
hope you
they
look
do
forward
tend
to
to
the
leave
results
things
of
to
our
the
latest
last
efforts in the
moment,
world
so
of the Pokemon
there is
Trading
the
Card Game,
opportunity for them
Pokemon
to
Trading
still
Card Game
cover
Pocket.
something of interest
Thank you so
to
much.
someone else.
Thank you, Mr. Kitano.
Okay, so we've gotten through that section. That's coming some point in 2024. They haven't given any indication as to when that's happening. It could be now, in the next few months. It could be effectively December.
We'd like to end today's presentation with one final video.
As they always like to tease, come on, what is it? There's something else happening. Yes, come on, Pikachu, you're waving. And, okay, if they've got the unknown, it looks like it's a Pokemon Johto version they're going to be using. There's some lazy unknown kind of looking around. It's a question mark on it. Confidential, not actual gameplay. Urban redevelopment plan set in city. A vision of beautiful coexistence between people and Pokemon. They always kind of spout this kind of information every time you go into a new Pokemon game. The story of harmony between Pokemon and their trainers. You've got a sketch drawing of a Pikachu and some sort of tech. And going into the future, is this a VR? Is it virtual reality? Is it AI? Okay, so you've got... This is looking really decent, actually. You've got quite a few different Pokemon. You've got Dragonair there. You've got Gyarados. I've seen, not Leo, kind of the evolved... Aegislash is there. Sylveon. You've got an Onix. That is Unova. That definitely is giving me Unova vibes. Yeah, it's very futuristic. This does look like the remake of Pokemon Generation 5 Black and White. Lugia City, yes, this is definitely Generation 5. We've got the Pokemon remake for Gen 5. I think this is confirmed. Oh, no, it's Pokemon Legends. Pokemon Legends Z. Releasing simultaneously worldwide in 2025. So we're not getting a new Pokemon Let's Go, we're getting a new Legends in a year's time. And that's the mark for Mega Evolution. So we're going to have Mega Evolution in this. Yeah, we've definitely got confirmed Megas because that is the symbol for them. Okay, so that's all that we've got so far from the stream, and that's pretty much all we've got. I am quite underwhelmed with most of it. I think anything with the Pokemon Cafe, the Pokemon Sleep, generally most of it I've been quite disappointed with. The one thing I am excited for is that Pokemon Z. I think that's definitely something that's to be explored, because it is taking up the Unova region, and that's kind of where we're going. It makes sense because Pokemon Legends Arceus is to do with Sinnoh. It's Generation 4 lead. This is Pokemon Legends Z, so I'm guessing this is related to Zekrom, because that's the legendary Pokemon that begins with Z. I mean, you've got Reshiram, but that's an R, so we can't really do anything about that. But definitely, the fact that they've got the mark there for Legends, they've got the mark for the Mega Evolution means we've got that confirmed. I am looking forward to that, but that's for a year. That is at least 11 months away. Kind of, it's frustrating, but I'm looking forward to as and when they go about doing it. When it happens, we have no idea, but just look forward to it. And if you guys have enjoyed this live stream, I'd really appreciate if you make sure to subscribe to the channel. These are going to be more frequent video uploads at some point. I'm just going to have a breakdown of all the information that we've got in relation to any leaks or anything that's going into the future. And thank you very much for watching.